Welcome back, everybody, to the show with the red mic where we're talking ball on a blue couch. Maybe that's what we'll go with. Red mic on a blue couch. That's what we'll call this until a situation changes or evolves and we're somewhere else, somewhere new. But I've got an awesome episode for you guys today. Sorry we stopped after the World Cup. There just wasn't much going on. And I'd be lying to you if I said it'd be easy to sit here and just talk about nonsense for 45 minutes every single day when it's just the WNBA and the MLB. Especially after the excitement of the World Cup, I was like, dude, I just got nothing. I got nothing for him. As bad as that sounds, and not even trying to be lazy, it was just like, dude, what am I going to talk about when, the Mariners are on a 3-game losing streak and the Indiana Fever have one too? Like, what am I to talk about other than the fact that right now Caitlin Clark is on a generational run? Like, Caitlin Clark just put 37 on DeJounte Carrington's head, and Enes Kanter got kicked out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just got to a point where I was like, dude, do I really want to be talking about the WNBA every day? No, because it's just such a joke right now. Like, it really is just such a joke. But either way, you're not here for that. Today's episode, I'm really excited. We're going to go through every single team in the Power 4 of college football, and I'm going to give you the Mikey Overs preview of how I think things are going to shake and my favorite futures in each conference. Now, I already placed 3 win totals, which if you've been following the socials, you should have already have placed as well. It's NC State over their wins, it's Kansas State over their wins, and it's South Carolina over their wins. I'm not going to dive too deep into those because I already posted about them, but just off the top really quickly, those are my 3 favorite futures of the entire college football season, solely because NC State and Kansas State, some of the easiest schedules you've seen in a really, really, really long time. And when I look at the Big 12, I do think that Kansas State could sneakily contend for that Big 12. It's really Texas Tech and then the rest. But with the schedule that Kansas State has and Avery Johnson kind of in a lose it or prove it year, like you're either going to the league or you're playing in the CFL or you're working for State Farm. So it's really a lose it or prove it year for Avery Johnson, who last year was kind of touted as, Kansas State's going to win the Big 12. Avery Johnson could potentially be a Heisman. Kansas State's going to be the team to beat. They went to Dublin. Avery Johnson's dad beat the dog shit out of his other brother. And you kind of were looking at a situation where it's like maybe Avery Johnson doesn't have it. So, I like the narrative of Avery Johnson kind of in a lose it or prove it year for Kansas State. I love how easy their schedule is. And, not for nothing, I don't really think the Big 12 is going to be one of those conferences where as the year ages, you're going to go, wow, it's way deeper than we thought. I think it's going to be as the year ages, we're going to go, wow, it really is just 2 or 3 teams in the Big 12, and that's really it. So I love Kansas State's win total. NC State's kind of a very similar narrative. They have the easiest schedule in the ACC, I believe. Last time that I checked, it was the easiest schedule in the ACC, and I couldn't be more of a believer in CJ Bailey. I think he's going to be a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think, that's becoming a very popular take I've been seeing on the internet, but if you've been following me for a while, last year we were all over NC State and they're over. CJ Bailey pass yards over. It's like he is just one of these dual threat quarterbacks that is more pass than run, and the way that he passes the ball opens up his run because he can sling it so deep. So you can't really have guys you can't really be in the box with CJ Bailey, because if you give his wide receivers one-on-one, he can throw it 55 yards on a dime. So I really do think CJ Bailey is going to be a Heisman candidate, and I know that the discourse every time I look up NC State is really weak wide receiving core, and I disagree with that. I think JoJo Trader, who is I believe 5-star coming out of high school, he was Jeremiah Smith's teammate in college at Chaminade, went to the University of Miami, got a little bit of burn last year, but I think it was just one of those he needed a new situation. And for, JoJo Trader to become the number 1 option for CJ Bailey, which I know is going to happen and I believe is going to happen, that's such a dangerous duo for me. And I don't think there's a lot of ACC defenses. And again, the ACC, I think very similar to the Big 12, is really going to be 2 or 3 teams and then the rest. And especially in the ACC, you're kind of looking at a Miami and then the rest. So do I think that NC State can win over 7.5 games? Absolutely, because the rest of the ACC, I think, is really weak, and I believe NC State is one of the best quarterbacks. So I love that one. And then South Carolina is just one last ride with Lenora Sellers, man. Put your seatbelt on. We're watching Beamer ball. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to hurt to watch. There's going to be games where we lose in the buzzer. There's going to be games where we win on the buzzer. But I truly believe in a Nick Harbor, Lenora Sellers one more year. Nick Harbor is a legitimate athletic freak show. Like, he could be an Olympic sprinter. He could be an Olympic hurdler. Like, this guy's speed is insane. And I just believe that him and Lenora Sellers are going to cause problems this year in the SEC. And the SEC is going to be impossible this year. It's definitely the hardest conference. I think the Big Ten has the best teams, but in terms of depth of conference, I think it comes down to the SEC this year. But I do think Lenora Sellers is seniority, another year with Nick Harbor, and they added the coolest name in college football, Nitro Tuggle. There's a little Mikey Overism. We got cool names. That's all I need to know. I think 6.5 wins is just a little too low for a coach and a quarterback that I believe in. So those are my 3 favorite futures before we get into the previews. So let's get into the previews. We're going to start with the Big 12. Just because I feel like we'll save the SEC for last, we'll save the Big 10 for second to last, and we'll start with the Big 12. Now, when I look at the Big 12, I'm not even kidding you. It truly is Texas Tech and then the rest. Like, there are really not a lot of teams in here that I think are going to cause a lot of damage. I do think Utah's always going to be sneaky with Devin Dampier. I think if you're looking at Utah's win total right now, I haven't gone through their exact schedule, over 8.5 wins. When you look at that Big 12, I truly think that this could be an over spot if you wanted to smash one that you liked in the Big 12. I think outside of that, there's really nothing in the Big 12 that really scares me. I mean, I think there's a reason why Texas Tech's win total is 10.5 and it's minus 200. I think they're just really the only team in this conference. I think if you're an unders better, this is the conference you might get involved in. I don't believe in Noah Fafita, year 9. I've never been a big Noah Fafita guy. I tried to believe in Noah Fafita in Tedero McMillan's last year at Arizona, and the amount of times that it was Fafita letting me down was paramount. Obviously, the defenses in the Big 12 are going to be moose, so, take any over you want. But there's just a lot of change, right? Like, Arizona State is with a brand new quarterback. Baylor brought in DJ Lagway, who, I'll be honest with you, I do believe in Baylor this year. And I do like their 6.5 wins at plus 146. I know their schedule is not that easy. It's actually rather difficult. And I know a lot of people don't believe in DJ Lagway, but I do believe in college football is a scenario-based success story for a lot of guys. And I do think that this is a scenario that DJ Lagway can have success in because the lights aren't as bright as they are in Gainesville. I also think the competition is not as stiff as it is in the SEC as a quarterback that's trying to figure it out for the first time on his own. So I love this spot for Baylor at 6.5 wins. I do think DJ Lagway is going to be kind of a revelation for them. They're also bringing back the throwback gold helmets, which I think we needed as a fan base. Not that I'm a fan of Baylor. I'm just saying as a fan of college football, that's just what we needed to truly, I think, take a step forward. Couldn't be more out on Cincinnati, Colorado, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Oklahoma State. And again, this is one of those things too where there's a lot of new pieces going on in college football. I think the Big Ten just said that they're going to sign a piece of paper that says if you've played in the NFL, you can't come back and play in the Big Ten. So I wouldn't be shocked if other conferences follow suit, or if the SEC just goes, well, if they're going to allow it, we're going to do it. So, there's been a lot of change in college football, obviously, so it's kind of like year to year. How are you going to figure it out? I mean, the University of North Texas team basically just went over to Oklahoma State, so if you liked that team, you can take their over 6.5. But when I look at the Big 12, there's really nothing that I'm excited to click that I'd really want to click. I do think West Virginia could be sneaky this year. I believe in Michael Hawkins if he wins the job or when he wins the job. But there's really not much else that I really am excited about in the Big 12 other than a Kansas State win total, just because I truly believe that Avery Johnson is probably the second best quarterback in the Big 12 now. Now that everything is kind of shaken out and people have left and people have joined. But when I look at the Big 12, I think another bet that I would definitely look at is potentially taking a Kansas State at plus 1,900 to win the Big 12 championship game. I don't think TCU is going to be there. I wouldn't be shocked if Houston is there. Houston's one of those teams where they do get weird. And then obviously BYU and Utah, the Holy War guys, they're kind of the only teams that have been kind of retaining and kept their quarterbacks from last year. With Dampier, and now the BYU kid's name is leaving me, but it's a really weird name. I know that. But other than that, in the Big 12, there's really nothing that I really want to touch. Scott Frost, I wouldn't be ashamed of taking an under on a Scott Frost win total just because I think he's a horrible human being from what I've heard. But let's move to the ACC. The ACC this year, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. And I think it starts where it always does when we remove Miami, because that was kind of a last year revelation. Is Clemson and Dabo ever going to return to the top of the mountaintop? And I think when you look at this Clemson team, they're one of the only teams in the Power Four, it feels like, at least in my head, that you go, they didn't bring in a transfer for their quarterback. They went homegrown, they brought him up, which I feel like is getting increasingly more rare. If they're not the starter from the year before, I think it's very rare that we're finding college football teams that just promote from within like it used to be in college sports. So I do think that is odd, whether you think it is or not. And keep in mind, guys, I'm an idiot. So you're listening to this, we're having a good time. I'm just giving you what's going on in my brain right now. I'm really interested in how this Clemson situation rolls around because this kid played one game for Clemson. I think he had like 5 touchdowns, like 300 yards. And Clemson's win total right now is at 7.5 wins. Do I believe in Dabo? I always find it hard to write Dabo off. I believed in Cade Klubnik last year. I believed in Cade Klubnik the year before. I believed in Cade Klubnik the year before. Like, I just, for whatever reason, having grown up watching Dabo, not that I'm a Clemson fan, I'm just saying having like been a college football fan and betting against Clemson a lot when they had Trevor Lawrence, it's just hard for me to write out Dabo. Do I think that right now, before a ball has been snapped, the ACC is Miami's to lose? 100%, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I just think that Clemson could make a run for it this year. I loved Duke last year. We hit on their win total. Definitely not going back to that this year. I don't hate Clemson over 7.5 wins. I know it's minus 150, so a little bit juiced, but there's just something weird about Clemson this year that either this kid is the guy or Dabo loses his job. And I think if you're a Clemson fan, I would love to know if that's how Clemson fans feel. Does it feel as though you're going into this year going, and Ginelli, I think his name is either he's the guy or Dabo's got to go? Because he's been very combative with the media, with the fan base. I would say Dabo has been in the past 2 years. So now it's kind of like, all right, you're promoting your guy with win in that you believe in. If this doesn't work out after Cade Klubnik doesn't work out, does Dabo lose his job? And I think there's a large possibility that he does. And and listen, I think actually the ACC is much stronger than people give it credit for. And I always when I look at strength of a conference, I always look at the quarterback play because I do think at the end of the day it comes down to your quarterback. Obviously, you look at Indiana last year, that defense was a steel curtain. I think Mendoza was really good, but that defense was a steel curtain. Texas Tech's defense was a steel curtain last year. But I do think it always comes down to, can a quarterback do things to your really good defense that sets him apart from the rest of the teams that you play? And can a really good quarterback do bad things to a good defense? We saw with Dante Moore against Texas Tech when they got shut out. Obviously, Oregon always has a really good defense, but Dante Moore was able to move the ball. So when I look at the ACC, their depth of quarterback, I believe, is actually relatively good, to be totally honest with you. Darian Mensah at Miami, I think, is going to be a real problem. I think CJ Bailey at NC State is going to cause people problems. Kevin Jennings at SMU is always weird. I don't love that they named the medical facility after him. What if he gets hurt? Now he's in his own medical facility. I don't know. That just feels weird. Does that not feel a little weird? I don't think you should get a building named after you when you haven't won anything. Given, did Kevin Jennings make it to the college football playoff and get skull-fucked by Penn State? Yes, that happened, for sure. I remember it happening. I watched it happen. But I just don't, if you're a current player, do you deserve a building? I don't know. The only current player right now I'd give a building, I don't know. I wouldn't. I really don't think there is one, to be totally honest with you. I don't think there is one that I would give a building to, a current player right now. Maybe the kid at Cal. What's his name? Cal Suwali? I'm so bad with names, guys. You're gonna have to really have some patience with me with the names of guys. I'm so bad with remembering them. Jaron Sagapatelli. JKS. Let's call him JKS. I think that's what everybody calls him. JKS at Cal 2 is, I think, going to be a real problem. When I looked at their schedule, it was really hard for me to find 7 wins because I think Vegas is getting really, really sharp with these win totals. But I just love that kid. I'm going to bet on Cal a lot. So I don't hate Cal over 6.5 wins if you really like JKS. I think Ashton Daniels at Florida State is going to be an experiment that fails, but their win total is really low, 5.5 for a win total that they just got Wisner from Texas at running back, who I think is going to be really, really good. And they have some weapons on the outside. So you go, okay, Ashton Daniels, all you really have to do is use your feet to open things up, and you'll be able to, I'm sure everything's going to be underneath, and Wisner is going to be in a lot of screens, zones, like whatever it is. I think Wisner is going to touch the ball. It feels like it should be almost every other down. But other than that, obviously Louisville always is a sneaky one. I don't really know if there is anyone in the ACC that I would genuinely feel comfortable putting my money on to win the ACC outside of Miami. Obviously, Virginia Tech, John Franklin. I hate brand new coaches and brand new teams. I don't hate a true freshman quarterback. We have 2 of those in the SEC right now. But I hate new coaches, brand new team first year. Like John Franklin, I think if you look at their win total right now, I'll look at it right now. 6.5 wins, minus 172. I haven't really looked at their schedule. I do think in the new era of college football, it's easy to rebuild a team if you have the right amount of resources, the right amount of money. And I do think that Virginia Tech is one of those teams that will give you the right amount of money then to be able to rebuild a team in a year. Do I believe in John Franklin first year to win the ACC? I really don't. That's just something where you're going up against a Miami team that brought a lot of guys back. That's going to be really dangerous, and a lot of ACC teams that have a lot of money to spend. So, outside, we can look at the conference winners right now for the ACC in the championship game. They have Miami playing Louisville. If you wanted to take a shot, I do think Louisville is going to be a dark horse. Louisville is just a dark horse every single year that they play football. So every year that Louisville plays football, you can somehow click that button, and for whatever reason, they'll somehow figure it out every single year. It doesn't matter who the head coach is. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They just always seem to be very, very sneaky. But yeah, Miami's minus 150 right now to win the ACC Conference Championship game. Do I think Miami's going to be there? I would hope so with the amount of guys they brought back and the amount of money that they spent. But you look at the bottom half of the ACC, Stanford, Boston College, North Carolina, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Duke. Really not worried about any of those teams. Georgia Tech is always a sneaky one, but again, I'm not going to just give you every single win total in the book. The only other one I was looking at, and this is maybe me being a little stupid, UNC over 4.5 wins. And the only reason that I don't hate UNC over 4.5 wins is the same reason why I took Mississippi State over their win total last year with Blake Shapen. Because my whole thing is, when I looked into Blake Shapen last year at Mississippi State, when he was fully healthy, Blake Shapen was an absolute weapon. He was disgusting. I think he threw for, it was like over 2,000 yards every single year that he was healthy. When I look at Billy Edwards Jr., I think Wisconsin is an unfortunate situation where an injury cut him short. When Billy Edwards Jr. was fully healthy for Maryland, he threw for 2,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. If Billy Edwards stays healthy at North Carolina, I think they could easily win 5 games. I think they have a chance to beat TCU this weekend in Dublin. I'm just early preview. I'm betting on North Carolina because I believe in Billy Edwards regardless of the weather, if it rains, whatever. North Carolina over 4.5 wins is an interesting bet to me that I'm debating placing, and I think I will get to the counter with it because I believe in a Billy Edwards, Blake Shapen scenario where when they were fully healthy, they were a really good quarterback, or at least serviceable enough that 4.5 feels disrespectful. Now, if you believe in betting on injuries and betting 2 injuries and thinking that because he's always been injury prone, he will get hurt again, so you're just going to take the under, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad move either. But when I look at this North Carolina team, if Billy Edwards stays healthy and Bill Belichick can get his head removed from his rear end, 5 wins doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. When I look at UNC's schedule right now, and I don't want to turn this into the UNC show, although, the UNC show, kind of nice, Let's say you beat TCU, 1 win. Then you beat Eastern Tennessee State. You're already at 2. You're probably going to lose to Clemson. You're probably going to lose to Notre Dame. Probably going to lose to Pitt. You have a chance to beat Duke. That's 3. You have a chance to beat Syracuse at home. That's 4. You're going to lose to Miami. You have absolutely a chance to beat UConn. I'm so tired of people saying UConn is a football school. They fucking suck. You have a chance to beat UConn. There's your 5th. You then have Louisville at home. You have Virginia at home. I believe you have a chance to beat Virginia. And then although I am an NC State backer this year, you have a chance to beat NC State when you're at home, I believe. Because NC State's defense is not going to be that good. So if you can get into a shootout with CJ Bailey It's just who has the ball last. And that's a potential for 7 wins. So when I look at a win total of 4.5, and I go, you have a potential for 3 more wins than what I think Vegas thinks you're at, I don't hate just betting that number, if that makes sense. Whether you believe in the team or not, I believe in betting that number. So when I look at the ACC, obviously the bet is NC State's win total. I think I'm going to sprinkle on North Carolina's win total. Other than that, there's really nothing that I love. I think Cal is just going to be a bet-to-bet game, or I'm going to bet them game to game. I just don't love the 6.5. Just scares me. When I look at their schedule, it really, I was forcing to find 7 or 8 wins. So I think they might just be on the number there, and we can just bet on Cal game by game if we like it by the spread, because I think JKS is going to keep them in a lot of games. The kid is disgusting. So those would be the ACC wagers. And, back to the UNC thing. Why are we hating? Why are we hating? Just because he's... Let's just be honest. If you're Bill Belichick, you've done it all in the NFL. Divorce your wife. Why would you not date a 20-year-old or 28-year-old? You know what I mean? Like, if you got it all going on. You got rings in the closet. You already got a son that's coaching. Like, you've already figured out the portion of life that needed to be figured out. You had a son. You won championships. Why would you not date a 28-year-old when you're 60-something? You know what I mean? Like, why would you not? Everyone's like, dude, Bill Belichick, he's got to figure it out. Maybe he's got it figured out, man. Maybe he's got it figured out. Maybe the Bill Belichick arc is the correct arc. You just win everything you can, have a couple kids, then you go date a 28-year-old, and you work at a mid-tier college football team. And you just go, I'm going to live off my name the rest of my life in college football. I'm going to collect a paycheck. I'm going to let her do whatever she wants with the cheerleading team. She can hold a clipboard, whatever it is. But maybe he's got it figured out. And I'm not saying that he's a good dude. As a Jets fan, I think he's a horrible human being. And, I think he should be stripped of all his championships because they had to be cheating. There's no way that they could have dominated our division and ruined my childhood the way that they did. But either way, maybe he's got it figured out. All right, let's move to the Big Ten. When I look at the Big Ten, there's a reason why none of my win totals were in the Big Ten, and it's because the Big Ten this year is going to be insane. Like, truly insane. When I look at the Big Ten right now, Ohio State is disgusting. When you look at just straight talent, Ohio State is disgusting. Chris Henry, Bo Jackson, Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, and then you look at the other side of the Big Ten, which is Oregon in my head. You've got Dante Moore. You've got DeCorian Moore. You've got Evan Stewart. You got Davidson. Like, those two should be literally Zeus and Poseidon facing off in the Big Ten championship and in the college football playoff. But when I look at the rest of the Big Ten, this is my wager for the Big Ten. I think Oregon's going to win the Big Ten, and right now, preseason, Oregon is my national champion, and Dante Moore is my Heisman. I'm loading up on the Ducks this year. I just think Ohio State, you just haven't figured it out. You still have yet to figure it out for me with Julian Sayin because I just don't know if I believe yet. Julian Sayin reminds me of the Mac Jones at Alabama, although Mac Jones won at Alabama, where the weapons are just so oversaturated that he looks great. And I loved Mac Jones. But when tail of the tape comes around, close your eyes, take a deep breath, imagine you're in the fourth quarter in the college football playoff. Oregon is facing off against Ohio State. You have one drive left. And Dante Moore is at quarterback for Oregon, and all Ohio State needs to do is get one stop. Open your eyes. There was a part of your brain that went, that's going to be a really difficult stop. And Dante Moore has an opportunity to win that game. Now close your eyes again. You're in the college football playoff, fourth quarter. You have one drive to win the game. Julian Sayin is at quarterback. And all Oregon has to do is get one stop. Open your eyes. I know there's a part of your brain that went, we might not get that. We might not get that game-winning drive out of Julian Sayin. And I think when I look at that preseason, obviously we come into the year and Julian Sain looks like a world beater, and I go, okay, hand up. Really bad take, really dumb guy. I'm Mikey Overs. Obviously, I'm an idiot. But right now, I believe in Oregon, and I believe in what they can do in the Big Ten, and I believe that they can win the Big Ten. So my bets for this, I'm not going to take the Oregon win total because you're just betting on them to go undefeated, which I think is just stupid. My bets for in the Big Ten are Dante Moore to win the Heisman and Oregon to win the Big Ten. That's just where I'm at. Those are the two in the Big Ten that I like. When I look at win totals, there's a lot of teams that I think you're baking in auto losses. Like Washington over 7.5 wins. I think Damon Williams is going to have an unreal year. But, there's teams like USC and UCLA that appear on everyone's schedule of the win totals that I really like that I go, Jaden Mayava could win the Heisman this year. And USC could somehow win the Big Ten. Like if Jaden Mayava can put it together at USC with Lincoln Riley, how can we not sit here and go, that's a thing that could happen? Every time you look at Lincoln Riley, the minute he gets his guy, he seems to figure it out. Every single time. For them to either win the Heisman or them to be in a championship game, he seems to figure it out. And I would be hard-pressed to say that Jaden Mayava isn't his guy. Because Jaden Mayava is disgusting. So like when I look at USC's win total, 8.5 feels good. You need 9 wins. And then you look at UCLA, you go, Nico Lamalieva, 6.5. No shot I'm taking that because Nico's a bot. So, I don't know. You got Penn State, Grunkmeyer. It's just, not Grunkmeyer, but Penn State is just another one, brand new coach. I'm not trusting that at all. No shot I'm trusting that even a little bit. Northwestern, shout out Aiden Childs, 5.5 wins. I can't do it. The one I think is sneaky. The one I think is sneaky in the Big Ten. Look out for the Nebraska Cornhuskers with Calzada. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to talk about Nebraska too much because it leaves me with a deep depression, but for other reasons. But Calzada, watch out for Nebraska with Calzada. I'll always root for that school. Minnesota, 6.5 wins. I love rowing the boats. Darius Taylor's one of my favorite players. He's in my college football three-piece future that I posted. That is Damon Williams pass yards, Cam Coleman receiving yards, and Darius Taylor rush yards on Prize Picks. So if you want to lock that in, go ahead. Do I believe in Michigan? And then we'll move to the SEC. Taking a job at Michigan. You have one job. Beat Ohio State. And the second job, hate Ohio State. When everything unfolds last year, and you realize that their head coach was just gluttonous. He was just pigging out in every way he could. And then you kind of have to revamp the program. And you go, we got some really bad guys working for us. Now we're pigging out and getting a little gluttonous around the program. And you get a guy that doesn't believe in the rivalry with Ohio State. That says, to me, it's just another game. I hate that. College football is built on rivalries. College football is along with college basketball, is the last bastion of real rivalries. Pro sport rivalries, they're always going to be soft. Celtics, Knicks. Give me something in the NFL. Eagles, Giants. Eagles, yeah. The Eagles, Cowboys, they feel good, but for me, pro sports team rivalries will always be second tier because there's legitimate hatred in college. Because in college, you went to the same dorm rooms as these guys. You took the same classes as these guys. You lived on the same campus as these guys. You ate the same food as these guys. They represent you on a molecular and DNA level of what you now believe in and what you believe about yourself. A pro sports team, you never played for the Celtics. You never played for the fucking Eagles. You just lived in the city. And half these guys don't even live in the city. They live in a suburb outside the city. Your college team is you personified because you went there. That's where you got your degree. That degree meant everything when you were getting your job. When you're walking around at your job, people go, oh, you went to Providence? That's awesome. It means more. College rivalries and college sports to me will always mean more. And when you come into the biggest rivalry in all of college sports, Michigan, Ohio State, there is blood between that. There is real, deal hatred, and you come in and you say, I don't care, it's just another game, fuck you. That is the softest bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. And because of that, it makes me want to fade Michigan all year, because if that's the mentality, you're playing softball. You're playing softball, and you know what's going to happen. Ryan Day is going to walk in there, and he's going to punch you in your mouth. And you're going to leave there with no teeth, going, it's just another game. It's just, you're not going to be able to speak because your teeth are gone. It's just another games. It's good games from Ryan Day, no Ohio State, because you're not going to have any teeth, because he's going to punch you so hard your teeth are going to come out. Because when you coach at Michigan, you need to have hate in your heart for Ohio State. You need to have hate in your heart for that state and that team. And whoever represents that state and whoever represents that team. And it's just despicable that Michigan went out and got a head coach that doesn't care about the coolest rivalry in sports, and that's why I don't believe in Michigan. Do I think Indiana could run it back? Probably. Kurt Cignetti's fucking gross, so this video is just for nothing because Indiana's probably just going to go ahead and do it again. Let's get to the SEC. This is the conference that I really want to talk about. There's so much going on in the SEC. The SEC is so fun. As a guy that went to Providence College and doesn't have a college football team, for years I've been trying to decide my college football team that I'm going to support for the rest of my life. I'm probably just going to wait till I have kids and see where they go to school or where my nephew goes. But I remember I did that video about Texas too, guys. Don't worry, I remember the thing. But then I was like, went to some Texas games, didn't love it. So I need to go somewhere that I loved going, that I'd want to visit with my kids, that I'd want to go to games, that I'd want to enjoy the city. Don't love Austin. Didn't love the Texas games I went to. Nothing against Texas, but I've rescinded my fandom from Texas after making that video. Alabama, Keelan Russell, starter, 5-star. Do I think Alabama's going to be really good this year? I do. Do I think they're going to contend? I do not. I don't think a freshman quarterback, when you start looking and you zoom out at the macro level of college football, a 5-star quarterback can really get anything done for you at this level. I don't think so. Arkansas, move on. Really fun quarterback, move on. Auburn, burn the boats. Let's go ahead, burn the boats. Burn the boats. You just went and got the entire roster of South Florida. So you're putting South Florida in the SEC. Do I think that's going to work? God, I hope so. Because if it doesn't, oh my God, burn the boats. School might be rubble by the end of the year. Florida. I like Summerall. I like that he fights. I like that he talks a lot of shit. Do I believe in him first year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I think Florida's going to contend the SEC? I do not. I actually think Summerall's going to get punched in the mouth. I think he's talking a little too sweet for how little he has competed in the SEC. I think he's talking a little bit too much shit for what he hasn't done. Last time I remember, he made the college football playoff and got spanked. If that was Summerall, if I'm correct in that. I believe it was. He was yelling at Lane Kiffin, being like, hey, if I made the thing, I would have never left the I believe it was, correct? I believe it was. Yeah, Tulane. Yeah. If I remember correctly, Mr. Summerall, Tulane got absolutely skull-fucked in the college football playoff. So, you're talking a little too sweet to my guy Lane. All right, I'm a big Lane guy. I think he's a cool dude. Okay, I think Lane Kiffin rocks. Because if I was a college football coach, great shape, I'd also be going to Pilates, hot yoga, all of it. Students, yeah, let's do it. So, no, I don't believe in Florida at all. Georgia. Dark horse to win it all. Dark horse to go undefeated. Dark horse to pretty much get back in blood everything that they wanted last year. I think there's been a little bit too much smut getting put on their name. And I think if you're Georgia, you're coming in this year with Mr. Kirby, and he's going, I haven't heard a single article talk about us. I haven't had a single guy come up to our booth and talk shit to us. And I think that bothers Georgia. And they have one of the easiest schedules in the country, and I think we're going to be looking here at the end of the year going, Georgia's beating the shit out of everybody, and no one is really competing against them. So Georgia's one of my dark horses to win the Natty, and their win total 10.5. You pretty much go ahead and click that. Kentucky. Let's just stick to basketball. Let's keep it neat, tidy, stick to basketball. LSU. I'm really excited for Lane Kiffin's LSU. I couldn't be more excited for Lane Kiffin's LSU if I tried, to be totally honest with you. I think they're going to be really good. I think Lane Kiffin just knows how to do it. I love that they went and got the Arizona State quarterback, Sam Leavitt. I think he's going to be really good at LSU. I think the weapons that he has around him are going to be disgusting. And I think we're looking at Lane Kiffin as a 4-year window to win a Natty. I think he wins it within the next 2. I don't think it's going to be this year, next year, the year after. I think that's a Lane Kiffin Natty year. Mississippi State, I love Kamario Taylor so much. But I just think they lost too much to be able to come back and win 5 games, to be totally honest with you. I think that 4.5 is there for a reason. We took the 4.5 last year, or we took 3.5 last year. I think it's at 4.5 for a reason. I think they probably land on that number. Missouri over 6.5 wins was one of my favorite bets of the entire year until I looked at their schedule. I love Austin Simmons. I love Mizzou. I really think this team is going to be really good. They just have to go through a murderer's gauntlet. And the problem with the murderer's gauntlet is 6 wins is probably where you sit. Do I think there's a world Missouri wins 8-9 games? If they do, they're probably going to the college football playoff. Because some of those wins are going to be against the best teams in the SEC and the best teams in college football. So I'm really struggling to click that 6.5 because I know how hard that schedule is going to be. Because when you take a win total, for those of you that have never done it, when you put a lot of money on a win total, you're rooting for that team every weekend, and you sometimes you want to look at a schedule and go, oh my God, thank God we're playing Boston College this week. You're not getting that with Missouri. Every other week it's someone that could win a national championship on that schedule. So that's why it's so low. Oklahoma. I talked to an Oklahoma grad last night. And my thing with Oklahoma is John Mateer too jacked. And I think that's a fair question. Is he too muscular? Is he too jacked? I believe in Brent Venables' defenses. So I know Oklahoma is going to have a brick wall. So now it comes down to the problem that happened last year. Can Mateer not turn the ball over? I don't believe so. I believe this turnover problem is one that isn't just going to disappear. And you're also looking at an Oklahoma team normally has some of the best running backs in college football. I don't love their running back core either this year. So when I look at Oklahoma, 8.5 wins, they're probably going to land right at 8. They're probably going to land right at 8. It's going to be a good year, not a great year. And you're going to be happy that you moved on from John Mateer at the end of the year and that you can start fresh at quarterback because I know Brent Venables is going to have a great defense. He's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of really good teams. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to a 2-minute drill in the fourth quarter, do you trust John Mateer? I don't think so because I don't. And I'm not very smart. Ole Miss and Trinidad Shambliss, 8.5 wins. Do they repeat it under Pete Golding? I don't know. Pete Golding just kind of seems like a prick. It's like, I get it, dude. Lane Kiffin left, but then every press conference, he's always trying to sound smarter than he is, and he's always trying to be funny, the whole FBI thing. I think we had a student whose dad, we didn't hire anybody. It's like, dude, just shut up. Coach at Ole Miss. South Carolina, favorite win total, 6.5. Nail it. Lenora Sellers, Beamer Ball, nail it. Love that. Love everything about it. Tennessee names a true freshman quarterback. Pack the bags. It's going to be a long year. Tennessee, pack the bags. I also hate that it's Faison Brandon. I feel like that's a last name into a first name. It should be Brandon Faison. So if they could flip his name, I'd be in. That's where I'm at with Tennessee. If you could flip Brandon Faison's name, if you could flip it to Brandon Faison, not Faison Brandon, I'd be more in. It's really confusing saying a last name than a first name. It's just really weird. So let's flip the name. Let's go Brandon Faison. I'm all in. Texas A&M. Flip a coin. They both have impossible schedules. I'm just excited for them to play each other. Vanderbilt, thank God Diego Pavia is not in college anymore. And I mean that in the rudest way possible. Thank God Diego Pavia is not in college anymore. I couldn't do another 5 minutes of that guy. And he's already cut in the NFL. So shout out Diego Pavia, man. You really screwed your draft prospecting, brother. Favorite SEC wager is just South Carolina. Taking a flyer on a conference winner in the SEC, I would take Georgia plus 280 as the favorite because their schedule's so easy, they're going to be there. So if you think it's going to be anyone other than Georgia, you better look at schedules and pick a team that you think is going to be there. I think Georgia's going to be there, so plus 280. You get some plus chicken on that. I don't hate that at all. All right. That is our Power 4 preview. I gave you the wagers. We talked about some stuff. That was really fun. We're going to be back with the YouTube videos, hopefully. We've got week 0 this weekend, so there will be a video going through all those games, and then I'll obviously post the picks in a quicker fashion. But look out for that preview probably on Thursday. College football is back, man. College football is back. College football is back. You get a snap of breeze in the air. You get a snap of a cool breeze in the air. The helmets start to get tight and the pads start to go on and blood starts to rush to areas that only happen. You get excited on a Saturday night. But now you can get excited on a Saturday morning, noon to 2 a.m. Because college football is back. The greatest sport to ever grace the earth is back. And I'm ready to line them up, spot a ball, spend all day on a couch, eating wings, drinking beer, having 9 parlays, 20,000 straight bets, and a couple touchdown scores. I'm ready to sweat on a Saturday morning into a Saturday night. I'm ready to throw on a polo of an SEC team and go to a bar and get yelled at by a kid in a Big Ten polo for 3 hours. I'm ready for Pat McAfee to pick a team to win that I bet on and get stoked because he's somehow really sharp.